Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Odd One Out. Gonna try to be happy and free-flowing as I can be. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, and I mean, quite honestly, I think it's the craziest time that we've ever been living in, at least in our lifetimes, and that's the honest truth. And it needs to be talked about. You can hear our sweet daughter over here in the background. She's playing and enjoying herself, unaware of what's going on in the world.
And she and I both have a cough, so if you hear coughing, because we've been sick.
Yeah. Lovely arrangement that my wife got today at the farmer's market. Support local. Support local, excuse me.
Yes.
So, at some point in the video, probably the halfway point, thank you. You're going to see one of us sneak off to get some milk for her. So just heads up on any distractions. But in all reality, in all seriousness, there's a lot to talk about today. So I am the free-flowing one. My wife is very organized. And so I'm going to let her take the lead. And I'm going to insert myself where I feel appropriate. So Ashley, if you want to go ahead, what are you going to say?
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, I'll just, try to keep us on track. But, of course, you say what you need to say.
Okay.
But I'm starting, though.
Yeah, you want to start us off with
Or maybe you introduce who we're going to talk about, and then I can kind of tell his story.
And is it Andry Romero? Andry Romero?
Yes. Andry
Hernandez Romero.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, or...
We're going to be talking about a few different people, but this is who we're starting with.
And in Gringo speak, that would be Andry. Andre, not sure. I've never seen that name in Spanish before. But anyways, so the story on him is that he's from Venezuela. He's Venezuelan. And he fled Venezuela because he's a gay man. And he was targeted and his life was threatened. And that's not just me saying that. That's the U.S. courts agreeing with that and granting him the beginnings of an asylum process that he was proceedingly working his way through, and seemingly had a really good pathway to attaining full asylum and full asylum protections as a documented immigrant in the United States. And because of tattoos that the ICE police thought were gang affiliated, either MS-13 or it was Tren de Aragua, that's what they actually thought it was.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They scooped him up. No questions asked, due process.
Do you know where was he? Like, was it a traffic stop, or do you know, like, where they...
For his, I don't remember. I remember where Abrego Garcia was, but
right.
I'm not positive for him.
I just wondered if you knew off the top of your head.
His tattoos were to kind of celebrate the Three Kings festival that would go on back home in Venezuela. He loved it. He would dress up for it. There's pictures of him all over the place. He's a gay man that is a barber and a makeup artist. And he was sent without due process, just scooped up because of tattoos he owned. He was profiled because of tattoos and because he had brown skin. He was profiled and was sent to not Venezuela, where he came from, but an El Salvadoran super prison that by their own policy does not let prisoners out. Bukele himself said nobody gets out. It's not a rehabilitation center. It's a containment center. So this man was sentenced to life in prison in one of the worst prisons on the planet. Thank you. One of the worst prisons on the planet, no due process, where pictures of him by the photographer that went along caught him sobbing profusely and crying for his mother and crying out to God. Surely aware, as he's getting his head shaved, surely aware that he was going to rot in prison there and never leave. And that was done illegally and unconstitutionally using the Alien Enemies Act, which is supposed to be used during times of war and invasion, which we are not under either. The courts did make that ruling before. Two of the planes were in the air, but they're supposed to still listen to it, and one plane was on the ground for 45 minutes even before the written order came. And they were legally deported, and he is there, rotting in El Salvador. And we're going to talk about other cases, but all of them follow the same pattern of disobeying the federal courts and the Supreme Court. And I want you to know, and this is dead serious, satellite images show what look pretty obviously like massive pools of blood and bodies piled up. And let me ask you, how does it mathematically make sense? It's already one of the most crowded prisons on the planet. How do they continually take in prisoners when nobody leaves? You tell me what that means. And we're sending migrants there. This needs to be said, people. This is not exaggeration. This is not hyperbole. This is the new Holocaust. And this new Holocaust is for migrants. It's for brown people. And it's very serious. And so I wanted to lead off with Andry because I feel like, I mean, we can talk about all of them and we will. But somehow this guy, you hear the right beat talking about Garcia. Oh, well, he had accusations that he was a gang member by an informant. Or his wife filed a restraining order and had a police report of domestic abuse. Nobody's talking about this Andry, where you can't even use any kind of, rage bait issues. You can't use any. There's nothing to justify this even remotely. And this needs to be spoken out about. It's the time to freak out. It's the time to panic. It's the time to not sit by and just watch it happen. So. That's how you feeling about it?
I think we should have first, we kind of just you jumped into a lot of things, which that's fine. I think we should have kind of introduced, we are talking about, this episode is focusing on the deportations that are happening, some stories that we're hearing, of things that are happening that are not right, are not legal. So that's kind of why he jumped into all of that. You basically touched on everything. I just wanted to I wanted to make sure it was clear, because I feel like the people I'm seeing that are for this are saying, oh, well, they were here illegally. Like, they don't. I'm seeing people who don't seem to care whether or not these people have committed crimes or not. Like, there are people who just want them taken to this prison because they were quote unquote here illegally.
Mm-hmm. And this guy is not one of those. And
yes, so I just want to make sure that is clear. This man came here through a legal port of entry, specifically to seek asylum. You have to come here to be able to apply for asylum. He didn't, and listen, I don't want to go off on a whole tangent because I think I'm not here to judge how anyone came here, honestly, but he came here and applied for asylum. He was literally in the process, and his lawyer says he has a very good case. Like, they were pretty sure that he was going to get asylum because of his case and the things that he had gone through. He literally had a court date, and that's how they found out he had been taken, because he didn't show up to his court date.
Disappeared.
Okay, so honestly, I'm at a loss for words sometimes lately, because I don't know how else to get through to people sometimes.
I think this is kind of showing that there are way more people than you would like to admit that you can't get through to.
Right.
I find the same thing too.
It's
can't teach people to have empathy.
Yeah, like, that's exactly what it is. It's a lack of empathy, and these people, most of them are never going to admit it, but it is what it is. You have prejudice against these people, because, and another thing we were just reading, according to 60 Minutes, they can't find a criminal record on 75% of the Venezuelans that have been taken to this prison.
That are now there for life.
And so, I mean, I don't really know what else to say, or I feel like we explained his case very well. The fact that he did come here in a legal way, trying to get a legal status. and he was sent to a country he didn't even come here from, to a prison that he's never going to get out of. I mean, I don't know how to explain to you that that's not okay and that isn't right. Do you have anything else to say
Before my phone
on
dies,
his case?
Before my phone dies, I want to see if I can zoom in and show y'all just everything.
And I was scrolling earlier because I was trying to see if I could find exactly like where they found him or took him from, but this article doesn't really say if it was a traffic stop or where they found him, so I'm not sure on him.
So here's that prison in 2022. The context here, I hope this is able to show. The context here is this is just prior to 85,000 gang members being arrested by Bukele. They did have gang members massacre people, and they were in general, but one horrible weekend in 2022, and they've had just their own version of a war on drugs, except it's a war on gangs. What is that there? You just saw a clean map. What is all that there? What is that? What is this? What is that? What does that look like, people? What does that look like? This is a modern day, this is the new concentration camps. This is zoomed in right there. You tell me what that looks like, people. I know it's very hard to see. I get that. I get it. But you tell me what that looks like.
Well, and you know what else I want to say real quick, because people will say and are saying, oh, this isn't the same thing as the Holocaust. This is how the Holocaust started. They, created the idea that Jews were the enemy, but they first started with Jewish people that they basically deported Jewish people that were not birthright citizens. But then once they got all of them out, then they came for you, even if you were born there. If you were Jewish, you were then taken to a concentration camp, no matter where you were born. So this is how these kind of things start. Mm-hmm. They start with a group like this, and then they keep going for more and more people. And do you have anything else to say on
Andre?
His case?
Not on him, no.
I think, and Colin wanted to start with him because it's one that we haven't heard talked about quite as much.
It's the most damning one, too.
And I feel like that's someone we should be trying to get back here as well. I'm sure there's many.
Right.
And that's just a very sad situation. I think I'm actually going to pivot and talk about this other one real quick because it's just short and it kind of goes into kind of this same thing of like what I was saying. Like, I feel like basically people are being profiled.
Yes, 100%. Real quick, there's a point system. 6 points get you taken, and having what they think are gang-affiliated tattoos is 4 of those 6 points. That's 4 points alone right there. Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, and I even just meant like just looking like you aren't from here.
Yep.
Meaning if you're not white. People are being profiled, and that was a case that literally just happened. He was a man, 20 years old. His name's Juan Carlos Lopez Gomez.
Yep.
He is Latino, but he was born in the USA. He's born in Georgia.
U.S. citizen.
He was in a car with some other men. They were crossing the border into Florida because they had a construction job. I don't even think he was the one driving, but he just happened to be in this car. They were pulled over, I think, for speeding, maybe. But then this man, who is Latino, is seen in the car. What I read was that he doesn't speak very good English, even though he was born here. That doesn't mean you have to speak English. There are many languages. that people can speak. So I think there was a language barrier, and then the way he looked, they took him to jail for like 2 days, I think. Detained him in jail.
Oh, she's gonna be hurt really
I saw that
bad.
coming. It's okay.
Hey, do you want to take? I got it. Go ahead. Hey.
She just was under the desk and stood up and bumped her head. She'll be okay, but bumped her little head. So basically what I was saying was he was held in jail because they were accusing him of not being a U.S. citizen. Turns out he is. His mom came and showed his birth certificate. And he, I think just last night, was let out of jail and has gone home. But that's a problem. We can't just be pulling people over and accusing them of not being citizens. I mean, what if he hadn't had the chance to show his birth certificate, and what if they had taken him to this prison in El Salvador and he literally has a U.S. birth certificate? Excuse me, like I said, we've been sick, so I just have something in my throat. So I just wanted to talk about that case too, because this is a problem that we're going to keep seeing because of the way things are going. But again, I don't really know what else to say about that, because if you don't see why that's wrong to pull someone over who happens to look different from you and you accuse them of not being a citizen, and then they are, and you've literally kept them in jail, it's not okay and it's not right. Babe, if you want to come take over for a second.
Yes.
This has turned into a whole mess.
She's chugging water.
But I think I said everything I wanted to say about him. If you had anything else to say about the U.S. citizen that was... she wants daddy. If you have anything else to say about the U.S. citizen that was kept in jail and accused of not being...
Do we need any more proof? And I know I'm blurry right now. Hey, it's Rookie Channel. Do we need any more proof that this can happen to anybody? Anybody. The guy's American. His mom produced his birth certificate and his social security card, and he was still being held at the time. I just started to pour.
Well, and I was saying, what if they had deported him? What if they hadn't given him the chance to show his birth certificate? What if they had just taken him and deported him?
Right.
You can come back. I'll go get it.
Okay.
I was just trying.
No, this is something that can happen to anybody. You're getting scooped up because you're brown and you are not great at speaking English. I mean, are we being serious? That can be a regular citizen too, by the way. There are plenty of people that come here and are naturalized.
If that doesn't show you racism and prejudice, I don't know what does.
I think they might pick that up, but she says if that doesn't show you racism and prejudice, that she doesn't know what does, and I agree. If it's a decent time to pivot to Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
Yes.
He's the one that has been receiving the most spotlight. And the reason why, there is a reason. It's because the courts ordered him, if you're going to deport this man, you are specifically not to deport him to El Salvador because it could endanger his life. And so that's the problem.
So let's kind of like back up and tell his whole story of why that is.
Okay, yeah, you take over on that part, because I know you were doing your thing.
I was like having a coughing attack. I might need you to take over again, but he actually is from El Salvador.
Yep.
He left because his family's business was extorted by an El Salvadorian gang.
Mm-hmm.
They were threatening to kill his family, threatening to do horrible things.
Barrio 18. It's a gang that was threatening and extorting his family. Yes. Extorting. Excuse me.
So that's why he left, and that's why he would be in danger if he was sent back to that country. Kind of similar to the first story we talked about. He came here because he was in danger in his country. Now, when you're going to seek asylum, and this is, I didn't know anything about this. I'm not an immigration expert. I just did some research today so that we could fully understand the story. I guess when you're seeking asylum, you have to apply within a certain amount of time. He, for whatever reason, he came here. He didn't apply for asylum within the time that he was supposed to. But he did go in front of a judge in a court and was given a status. It's called withholding of removal status, which is similar to asylum. Like, he had to prove to this judge that this really did happen to him and this really is why he left his country. So he obviously had proof of that. And this judge granted him that status. So, again, you guys can talk about, oh, well, they came here illegally, they did this and that. He went before a judge and got status to be here legally, and a status that means he cannot be deported. And then he starts a life, he gets married, he has kids, and then there he is at the IKEA, in the IKEA parking lot, and gets detained by ICE.
And do you know what he was wearing that you got him detained?
A Chicago Bulls hat.
So
Because
shout out to all the
apparently
Bulls fans. Be careful if you're brown.
Apparently that means you're in a gang.
Hey, dead serious. If you're brown skinned and you are in a Hispanic area, do not wear. I'm not kidding. Don't wear a Bulls hat. I really am not kidding. Do not wear a Bulls hat. This is the world we live in. Do not wear a Bulls hat, especially if you have tattoos. Go on.
So that was really, I just wanted to like make sure we understood his story, understood that even though he came here undocumented, again, he went before a judge and he did have a legal status to be here. So say what you want to say, but one of our U.S. judges gave him legal status to be here in our country.
And here's some facts too. I'll give the facts that the writer's saying. Here are two things that are true that the writer's saying. There was an informant that said that he was affiliated with the New York branch of MS-13, and which is true. The informant did say that, and it's also true that his wife in 2021 filed a protection order and had said that he had assaulted her. She also said that they worked that out as a family and got that resolved. And so I'm not here to defend domestic violence in any shape or form, but I'm just telling you those are the two things that the right holds on to. So first thing, he was never actually charged with domestic abuse, never charged with anything. So in the court of law, he's never been convicted of a crime in the United States. The informant was compromised. I forget exactly what he did, but it was some sort of fraud. Later on, he did an act of fraud and got dismissed. He got discharged or whatever it is. And so it's just a completely terrible, faulty source. And even if he was a guy that never got in trouble, that was the only source. And there were two courts in 2019 that both said the only thing that we have to say that he's MS-13 are accusations by an informant. There's no substantial evidence to back this up. So they ruled that we can't say that he's MS-13.
Mm-hmm.
The Trump admin is lying Pam Bondi, Donald Trump,
Lying.
Tom Holman,
Lying.
saying, and both of those courts said that he was MS-13. It's a lie. It's outrageous. Hey, what was going on in the Biden admin that was so bad that this seems okay? Joe was a little bit sleepy. He forgot some words.
He wasn't being racist.
He wasn't being.
He wasn't being a white supremacist. I'm sorry. I even told you I want to be nice on here, and I don't want to attack people because I want people to listen to us. And while that is true, I've had enough. When is it enough? At this point, your white supremacy is showing,
yep.
and it's who you are. It is what it is.
You know who you are. There are a lot of you too. And
another reason that this case is important is because the Supreme Court ruled
9-0
unanimously that they need to bring him back.
They need to facilitate his return, and the Trump admin is like, "Oh, but we did facilitate it by saying we'll offer a plane. If you are unable to work with the government of El Salvador for the return of Abrego Garcia, then you failed to facilitate his return."
She is being a daddy's girl tonight.
Hey.
More milk. So that's important because we have aside from all of this craziness with the deportations, we have a president who is defying our Supreme Court and just doing what he wants. And I'm tired of his party saying that they're the party of law and order and blah blah, acting like they just love the Constitution, they love law and order, they love this and that. Well, it seems only when it applies or when it benefits them.
Yeah, because they like free speech until Harvard, has DEI practices, and they want to be able to strip away their tax exempt. I have a fantastic quote. J.D. Vance 2 years ago said, "When the IRS comes after you for what you think, what you do, however you believe, like any of that," he said, "when the IRS comes after you for that you no longer live in a free country." He's the ultimate gaffer.
Well, he also said he's a never Trump guy.
He also said that,
he is, so.
And he said obviously that Trump was not going to pardon the J6 insurrectionists that beat the police, the violent ones. He seems to always be able to do this. He'd say something absolutely asinine that gets proved wrong by true. He just looks like an idiot. I'm sorry.
Can I also say kind of rewinding to you saying, of course now MAGA wants to bring out, these crimes or these, trying to bring out these bad things, making it seem like Abrego Garcia is like a bad guy who deserved to be deported. What this also reminds me of, it's a different situation, but this is just what they do. It reminds me of when George Floyd died. What did they do?
Talked about all his stuff that
they wanted to talk about that he was on drugs and this, he was a criminal, this and that. Well, no, he was killed by the police. That's what matters. And what matters here is that this man was illegally deported. But this is what they do unless it's them, then they want to bring out everyone's crimes. But if you're the president, you can have 34 felonies. There
are more qualifications to be a citizen than there are to be the president.
Something else I also wanted to talk about in regards to this case, that's the senator who went to visit
Van Hollen.
Yes, and what do we know? Is he from Maryland?
He's from Maryland.
Okay, so senator from Maryland, he went to El Salvador. And I think the first couple of times he tried, though, they wouldn't.
Denied.
Yes, they wouldn't let him see. Will you say his name? You say it better.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
They wouldn't let him see Kilmar. Well, then they finally did. You may have seen the picture of them. He's wearing like normal clothes. They're at a table.
They dressed it up by adding margaritas.
We were just watching a press conference that the senator did. Now that he's back, He said it was all, which we should have known this, but it was all staged by El Salvador with the margaritas, the table. He said they wanted him to do it by the pool. That's propaganda. That's what the Nazis did. They put up propaganda. They put up posters of Jewish people like doing bad things.
Making them look like rats.
Yes,
Like
this is propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
He's not over in El Salvador drinking margaritas. He's not wearing real clothes. I'm glad that he got to see him and we know that he's alive for now. But yeah, that was staged. That's straight up propaganda. So I just wanted to point that out too. And
200 people, we sent about 200 people there that had no criminal record other than crossing the border legally. We sent them there to die in a prison, to be there for life. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of being quiet. I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it. Like, I'm losing my mind.
And can I also say this one last thought that I have? Please, if you listen to anything, if you're even still watching this, if you're still watching this, you probably feel the same as we do anyways, but maybe not, and maybe you'll hear me when I say this. Why do you and I live in this country?
We were born here. We didn't choose. We got lucky.
We're lucky. By
lucky.
chance, we live here, right?
Yep. Not proud to be an American, lucky to be an American.
Why the people in other countries, why do they live in their country?
They're just born
because they were born there by chance. If you think that you are better than these people and they deserve to be sent away because they tried to come here for a better life, you need to check your privilege.
Yep.
You are not better than anyone because you just by chance were born here in the U.S. Can you imagine your family's being threatened by a gang to be killed? They're threatening to rape your sisters. I would leave my country as well. Imagine you could be killed because you're gay.
The unfortunate thing is, and I'm taking shots here, there are just way too many people that don't care about anything until it happens to them.
Yes, and it is, and there's a lack of empathy. But I just wanted to share that thought, and maybe it'll get someone to think. Like we're no better. We're not above anyone because we live here. We are privileged, and I'm kind of at a loss for words because I don't know how else to explain to people, but we literally are privileged that we got lucky to be born here, and it's not someone else's fault that they were born somewhere else and that they were in a situation that they felt. I think it's brave to try to come to a different country and find a better life. I think that's very brave. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah. The constitutional crisis is here. We're currently living in times, and if you're watching this video and you're in disagreement with me, at least humor me by not just immediately thinking, oh, he's crazy. Like, hear me out, even if you disagree. We're living in a time right now that we're going to look back and talk to our daughter someday, about 30 years from now, and we're going to have deep talks about what happened, because it's going to be something that's in the history books. Whether or not you disagree with me on how serious it is, the Supreme Court has never been defied like this. They've never issued a 9-0 decision against an administration and had that administration say, oh, they issued a 9-0 decision in our favor.
And this is the conservative majority Supreme Court.
Yep. Is it 6-3?
Yes, keep that in mind as well.
Yep.
And they unanimously said this was wrong.
Yeah. And the immigration lawyer, Judge Boasberg, the one that really got all this started whenever he ordered those 3 planes to not deport Venezuelans and El Salvadorans using the Alien Enemies Act, He was appointed by George W. Bush. The admin likes to call him a lunatic left-wing liberal activist judge because, well, primarily because he's ruling against them. It doesn't really actually matter who he's appointed by. They don't care. But also because he was bumped up in rank by Obama, which is just a really, like, that... What happened to us? What happened to the system where you have a judge appointed by George W. Bush, a Republican president, and then you have a Democratic president that comes along and says, hey, this Republican president, the guy that's opposite of my party, I think he did a good job with you. I think you're doing great. I'm going to bump you up even more.
And can I say, a judge should not even be... The law is the law.
Yep.
A judge isn't political anyways, or shouldn't be.
Right.
The law is the law.
Yep.
Continue.
So, I mean, whether or not you disagree, if you like what's going on, you still have to admit...
Then don't say you like the Constitution, because you're not...
Word.
You're not following it.
Word. Honestly, word. You talk all about the Second Amendment, and the freest free speech president of all time is suing media outlets for putting out content he doesn't like, suing pollsters for putting out polls that he doesn't like, and going after former DOJ officials that worked on cases that were just simply against him because, I don't know, he committed crimes. And he's also firing DOJ lawyers right now that are telling the truth, such as, we weren't supposed to deport him and we did by mistake. Honestly, I have no clue who that DOJ lawyer was. I don't know his name. God bless that man or woman for caring about their job and doing a good job. And this is the shameless point that we're at in society. Trump's approval rating does keep on ticking down. It's not even like down and staying flat. It's just straight down. So I do have some hope that we're going to head to a point where America's like, I'm sick of this. Just like America was after January 6th, the actual first time. They don't care, and it's completely faded away from everybody's memory. But even like literally Marjorie Taylor Greene for like the first 2 hours that day. For the first like 2 hours, you had Ted Cruz was hiding in a closet, little Ted. Everybody was on the same page of, wow, this can never happen again. And then 2 hours later, we're kind of corrupt, and so we're going to keep him in office. So, do you have any good news that you want to end the video with?
No. No, I do have a positive something we can end on.
Okay.
Because I don't think we've shared this on here. Last week we were able to go to an event in Tulsa where Beto O'Rourke spoke. I don't think we've shared this on here, did we?
No, I'm behind. I've got a lot of content to release on the channel.
Yeah, so if you don't know who he is, he last cycle when governors elections were happening, he ran for governor of Texas. Unfortunately, he didn't win, but he really did have a great campaign, good momentum. He's very good to listen to speak if you want to look up his videos. But he came to Tulsa, which I feel like we don't get a lot of those events here in Oklahoma, so it was exciting for us to go.
It was great.
He was great. I wanted to kind of end on what he ended his speech on, which he was kind of talking about. He was talking more about, like, I think right now the Democratic Party is kind of there are arguments on like which way do they need to go. Do they need to go more moderate? Do they need to go wherever? But I think this can just apply in general. So he was talking about that, and he was basically saying, like, I don't think that matters. He said basically where we're at right now in our politics is, are you going to fight or are you going to
Be silent.
Basically, you know what? Let me just, because I want to quote it correctly because I posted about it. So let me just tell you because I want to make sure I say it correctly.
He said, "It's one small step for man."
And you know I post a lot of stuff, so. He said, the spectrum right now of our politics is, will you fight or will you surrender? So, we're not surrendering. So, kind of just a little something to end on to maybe pump you up. Because I know we're not surrendering.
That's right. Whether there's 0 views tonight or, I don't know, 1 billion, however many there are, we're going to keep on putting out content. We're going to keep staying on top.
And I'm starting a newsletter.
Yep.
I think most of our viewers are people we know.
Yep.
So,
Hi, Mom.
If you're watching this, send me your email if you want my newsletter. I don't know for sure when it's first going to come out. I'm working on it, but send me your email if you want my newsletter. If you don't know us, can you message on YouTube?
If you don't know us, that's your loss. Yes, you can message us on YouTube. You can comment on videos if you want.
Yeah, comment or message us your email if you want my newsletter.
Yep.
I'm basically going. Yes, I'm gonna just educate, talk about things going on, and it's gonna focus also a lot on more how to get involved. So if you're interested, it is gonna focus some on Oklahoma because that's where we are. But anyone, please feel free to sign up to get it because I think. Especially my tips about how to get involved can apply anywhere.
Tell them the name because it's kind of fire.
It is called the Power on the Prairie newsletter.
Did you use AI? Because that's sick.
Well, you didn't have to.
No, that's fine. What that means is she's smart. And Linda McMahon would have said that she used A1.
I did use
She
A1.
used A1 to...
and it helped me.
All right, well...
Okay, well, this was a little bit of a mess in the middle, as it always is when we have our little one.
I love her so much. I love her so freaking much.
But I still
This is what it's about, y'all. This
Yes.
is what it's about. This is why we're sitting here fighting.
100%.
We don't want her to have to fight this fight. We're going to fight it for her so that she can have a better world to live in.
Yes.
If you don't like that, sorry, man. Here's the funny thing. If you don't like what we're trying to fight for, I'm so sorry that we're fighting for your rights. I'm so sorry that we're fighting for your freedoms. I'm so sorry that we're fighting for your health care, for your welfare. I'm so sorry that we're fighting for your education. I'm so sorry we're fighting for the safety of your children in school. Sorry, not sorry.
Period. I hope you still learned something, even though it was a little bit of a mess. I still think
It was a good video.
gave some good information.
It was like a trail or a run. Can I talk? It was like a railroad, like going through the mountains and the train's just going, but they got to the destination. And most importantly, my favorite part of the train, the caboose, got her there, baby. Thank you so much for tuning in. Odd one out.
Bye.
Come on, baby. Let's go watch some Blues Clues or something.